Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with Sports Tonight, here with the great Emily Gagnon.
Great.
Emily, how you living?
Can you see me? I'm looking great.
Oh,
We had a Christmas party today. We are in the Christmas spirit. If you guys could see my pants, they're bright red. I think Scott made a comment just a second ago. Are those my holiday pants? And they are.
I thought those were just holiday pants. When I looked at them, that's the first thing that came to mind. I said, are those Christmas pants?
Yeah, they're also UGA
They look great,
pants.
though. UGA
when
pants.
I first bought them, I wore them to the SEC championship game from a couple of years ago when they lost to LSU. So they might be Christmas losing pants.
So you're saying those pants are bad luck then?
It might be, but, they lost.
Oh, well.
Fair and square.
Blame them.
Whether I was wearing holiday pants or not.
Okay. I'll live with you a little bit. Hey, we will get to UGA a little later.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about them. But first things first, let's talk Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons are going to travel to Carolina to play the one-win Panthers in a game that they desperately need as they hang in second place right now in the NFC South.
Wait, did you say second? Isn't everybody tied at the top right now? And I'm not trying to correct you.
No.
So I was saying second too.
Well, I think it's just second just by mathematical stuff because right now when you look at the standings, they have the Bucks at the top.
Because they have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, they have the tiebreaker, right.
So Bucks, Falcons, and Saints are all same record, are they not?
Yeah, they're all the same record. They all stand at
But the Falcons don't have the tiebreaker, so yes.
Yeah. So that's what I meant. I mean, they're all got the same really bad record. Well, I guess you're going to say really bad.
No, it's
6
awful.
and 7,
It's
right?
not good. It's not a winning record.
Yeah, true.
They're
But
not even at 500.
But I guess it's all relative because where you look at where the Panthers are hanging right now and how they're living, it's a disaster right now. So when you look at the game on the surface, it looks like a game that it's a great opportunity for the Falcons. They beat them in the opener in Bryce Young's first game. It looks like another good opportunity to win another game in Carolina. So should we assume that this is a win on Sunday, or are you a little shaky about it?
We should never assume anything with the Falcons. Nothing is ever easy with these Falcons. Listen, Scott, let me take you back, and I did a few minutes ago when we were talking about this. Let me take you back to week 10.
Way back there?
Against Arizona,
okay.
When the Falcons went to Arizona to the one-win
That's
Cardinals, true. And guess what happened? The Falcons lost. Right before their bye. They had to enter their bye on a low instead of a high. So I just am here to remind you that even though it looks like it should be a win, it looks like the Falcons could catch some steam here. I don't believe it till I see it.
That's true. I'm old enough to remember that. I remember.
We watched and we weren't surprised then, and we might not be surprised Sunday.
That just goes to show you how crazy the NFL is, right? I mean, the NFL is so crazy from week to week, and it's what they say, right? Any given Sunday. So no matter how bad a team is, I mean, the Carolina Panthers, make no mistake about it, they're a poor team. But they could beat you, right? I mean, Bryce Young could play above his head this next week and make some throws.
It's at Carolina.
It's at home. It's at Carolina. You got that factoring in. So I don't think anyone would be that surprised. I mean, look, Falcons are the favorites. Make no mistake about it. This is a game that they should win. But all these games are close. It's the NFL. I tell my friends that all the time, right? I mean, they'll talk about, well, how did this team beat them? I mean, they only won one game or two games. And I go, look, all these guys are pros. I mean, Bryce Young, for as bad a season as he's having, I think I was a Heisman Trophy winner, one of the best quarterbacks in college football in the last few years. So he can make some plays. He's eligible, and all the rest of those guys are paid too. They all get NFL paychecks. They can beat you. So I think that's something that the Falcons have to be aware of. And let's be real, the Falcons live life on the edge anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know how people do it, like being Falcons fans. I don't know how they do it. That's like a heart attack every single Sunday.
As we talk to Falcons fans? Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you just are on thin ice. You might fall through or you might make it to the other side every single Sunday. How do you do this?
Well, I remember.
I can't live like this.
It's why they say this is why we play the game and this is why we watch the game.
People watch.
This is why we watch the game, because there's never
But you lose more
ever,
than you win.
You mean some teams do?
No, as a Falcons fan.
As a Falcons fan, yeah. But, there's never, ever a sure winner. And that's why these games are so fun.
That's
because
why Sunday we can't trust them. CBT can't be trusted.
Well, no, they're like a 500 team. So there's no trusting a 500 team. I mean, they're sort of topsy-turvy every single week anyway. I mean, especially these in-division games. I mean, they always say when there's a division game, throw the record out. And especially when you look at defensively, they've been pretty solid defensively, but they gave up that late drive last week against the Bucs, against Baker Mayfield, through that game-winning touchdown pass, and that sealed their fate. Even though the defense has kind of been improved, that was kind of some bad moments. And that's what Jesse Bates. I was out there this week, and Jesse Bates, I think is going to be. He's having an All-Pro season at safety this year, in my opinion.
He's a saint.
Yeah. And he's talking, and he talked a lot about yesterday. He's like, look, we as a defense, when we're on the field late in the game, we've got to slam that door. And he talked about how several games this year have been lost with the defense on the field last. And he's saying, look, that can't happen. We as a unit, each individual has to be the guy to say, look, I want to make the play. We've got to go make this play late in the game to clinch the game. And look, he's a guy who's been there before, right? I mean, he's a guy who's been there. He's made the Super Bowl with the Bengals. He's been on some good football teams. He knows what good defense looks like. And quite simply, too many times this year, they haven't slammed the door. They gave up big plays. I mean, it's just like in my mind, just like in that Cardinals game when they threw that deep ball to the tight end, I think his name was McBride, and Richie Grant was downfield, kind of misplayed the ball, and he caught the ball this past week, and then a late touchdown this week. I mean, those are things that can't happen, right?
No, it cannot. Absolutely cannot. And that's why the Bucs have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, like, literally these games are so close, as you said, because they're all just so bad.
They're all so bad.
And it comes down to 3 points all the time. And it just so happened, and I'm not even mad at Koo. Are you mad at Koo?
No, because he's normally really good.
Yeah. And he missed what he usually doesn't miss. And here we are in a tough situation, but let's roll.
Yeah, so look, I was out there, obviously, this week. Defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen talked about, look, hey, don't take this Panthers game for granted because they've got some tough things, to account for, especially Bryce Young, who he thinks is kind of improving this season. Let's listen to Ryan Nielsen a little bit, and he'll tell you a little bit about what to beware of. Check it out.
They're running the ball really well. Offensive line is playing together as a group really well. Hubbard is those two backs, Hubbard and Sanders, man, they're running well. They really are. Downhill, physical. But the biggest thing is they're committed to it. They're gonna try to run it as much as they possibly can. So that's probably the biggest change is they've stayed with it. They're consistently running it. And they're playing in the run game. They're playing really well right now.
And some of the guys were saying that the quarterback's running a little bit more. And 48 sacks would make you run a little bit more. But.
Oh, he's elusive back there. It's been last couple games. You're watching him, and he's extending drives on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. He's getting the first down, keeping them on the field. Moving around more than when the first game when we saw him, so that probably those two things are the biggest change of the offense that we've seen.
What sort of challenges has your dwindling defensive tackle depth given you?
Well, obviously we'd like to have the guys out there for the whole year, but we also understand that NFL, it's a long season, and so we've had some guys that have been in the program now and developed and and have played some snaps. And early in the year we did, and so that's helped. And so look, it's just next man up mentality. You can't, there's really nothing to do other than get the guys ready to play. So we spent a good part of the day yesterday. Today will be the same thing. Tomorrow, and go out there and be very confident in the guys that are going to play. Thought the guys did a good job last game, going in there, filling in for the most part. It was a little leaky at some times, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. So, look, it's next man up mentality, and we'll go out there and get them ready, and they'll be fired up to play.
How critical is David to what you do in there?
For a lot of different things. One that he's been around, 7 years now together, doing the same or similar type of things. And so when you have that continuity and, he knows everything. He's a coach on the field. He's done the fundamentals of technique, knows how to play the blocks. And up until he had the angle, I thought he was playing as good as he's played in his career. He was all over the place, making some phenomenal plays. But that also gives the other guys some confidence, knowing that David's story, how he started, how much he's worked. Albert Huggins, I thought, Contavious, up until those guys, TQ has gotten better. Like, man for man in that position, the D tackles and those tackles, those guys have gotten better. They see what he's doing, and hey, I can do that, and they'll talk. Practice is really, really cool because we'll get into individual periods, and you'll see him talking over on the side, and he'll be discussing with some of the younger guys how to play LaCale London and things like that, and it's helped out tremendously. You don't have to. He knows so much about it and knows how to play the position so well that he's helped those guys and sped up the learning curve by his conversations in this play.
Based on my limited interactions with him, I was surprised when lots of his teammates said he is maybe the best trash talker in the NFL. Obviously, that's something you've been around for a while. What's your view of this?
No comment. I've heard some stories, but they're stories, so I don't know if it is to be true or not. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. One of the things I appreciate, David, is he's outside the lines is as good of a person as you'll be around, and he really is. He's a good heart. He's a very good person. Means well. He's caring. All of those things. I mean, he really is. When he steps across those lines, he flips the switch. Been around a couple players that have been very similar to him that have been really good, and it makes him get in that mindset of how he plays, the violence and this, and you have to be to play that particular position that takes double teams on for a living. I mean, you really do. You take on 700 pounds, however many times a game, and the violence, and so you have to be kind of in that mindset. And he walks across the line and he flips the switch and he gets right into it. And then after the game, you won't know anything, right? He's David. That goes back to that. It's really cool. I really appreciate him and how he plays the game and just who he is, and I love the guy. I really do. He's fantastic, and many more years with him, and he will continue to get better. He comes back from this. You'll see. He'll take another step. There'll be more to his game that he'll continue to grow and progress. I think that we saw this year. We talked about at the beginning of the year. David still can take another step, and I think he has. And David would probably say the same thing. I'm playing as good as I played in my career. He'll come back and he'll take another step, and we'll continue to talk about him. But it's very cool to see what he's done and continues to do.
Arthur had mentioned that y'all had reviewed those late game drives and those recent losses. I'm just wondering what your biggest takeaway was from that.
Yeah, we can make a couple of different calls. That's the first thing. It always happens. Always post game, whatever happens, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll always look at myself and how I can help, improve, put a player in a better position to make a play. So ultimately, all it comes down on myself, getting the guys, putting them in position, call a different call. And then ultimately, hey, let's go out there with some confidence, and at the end of the day, it's like, let's go make the play, that type of deal. But taking from that is, all right, hey, look, could have made a different call last game, put us in a different coverage, maybe some outside leverage with a cover two, have a corner out there, not played man, played some more zone, things like that. Pressure, so that's the main part of, change a little bit more. It's not so much man play, maybe a little bit more zone, maybe a little bit more pressure. Each game is different, and so the flow of the game, the first time, in the Minnesota game, we pressured a lot early in the game, and so that was kind of the flow of the game, and kind of went the opposite way. We pressured on third down, and we played coverage on fourth down. It's a different situation. in the Arizona game, we pressured on third down and was going to pressure again. So that, and then really this last game we played coverage. Those type of things. And so we'll just continue to change it and play our best stuff. Play our best stuff. What we're playing our best. Go out there. We've got to have it situations. Play our best stuff on defense.
And Coach, what sort of different things do you see on film from obviously face Bryce Reed in week 1, first game, and up to now? What are some of the different things that you've seen maybe that he's improved on or where he's different and what you had to plan for in the first game? Yeah,
like we were talking about the running around, moving more in the pocket. Like that's been the biggest change is, particularly the third down drive extender scrambles. Up the middle, he had a really good couple last game, up the middle, made a move on the linebacker, got out to the edge, got a first down, kept the drive going, things like that. And then he's doing a good job of just kind of moving away from the pressure, finding the open guy. Look, down in Tampa, it was a monsoon, and so half the game, it was a run game, a little bit different. But he's extending plays, moving around, getting the first down with his feet, and so that's really the biggest difference what we're seeing.
Couple more. Last week you guys ran a full one quarter. Is that more just because you're very thin at linebacker, or is that something that you're evolving, or?
Well, we've always had that, Mike, in the package. It's been, we're a shell team. The ability to play down safety, right, and then different personnel groupings on third down. I think when you look at us third down, we've got so many guys that can play. Try to utilize the guys, specific skill sets, the best to help our team and our defense. That type of deal. And so, look, last game we had 3 D linemen and 1 linebacker, and the rest were DBs out there. And so just change the picture on them, and we still played pretty good on third down. Get off the field. Look, you want to be every time get off the field. That's not realistic. Less than 30% would be outstanding. You'd be one of the best in the league. And we're hovering right around there. Thought for the most part we executed. There's a couple calls you want back, a couple plays, the screen play we want back. But one of the things we liked about it is we had a lot of speed on the field. And, when guys running plays down, making tackles, thought Mike Hughes had a nice tackle on a third and medium. Really big play in the game. Then we had the 4th down stop right after that. And so just getting those, look, again, in a long season, we talked about D-tackle injuries. A guy gets nicked up, guy's got a few snaps under his belt, he's comfortable going out there and playing, and next man up mentality. And so we'll just you'll keep seeing, we'll continue to work this third down package and work the guys around in different spots. They're running.
All right, Emily, Brandon Staley out as head coach of the Chargers after the 63-21 debacle last night that they faced at the hands of the Raiders. I don't know about you, but I think this is something that has been a long time coming. Just when you look at Brandon Staley, at least for me, I don't feel like there's been a coach in the NFL that has done less with so much more on his roster than Brandon Staley. Just kind of when you look at it, just look at what they have on both sides of the football. You got Justin Herbert, who's an upper-tier quarterback in the NFL, Austin Eckler, Pro Bowl running back, Keenan Allen, one of the better wide receivers of this generation. On the defensive side of the ball, they have
you were on it.
Joey Bosa on defense. They have Khalil Mack, one of the best defensive players probably in the last decade or so.
Yeah.
You have Derwin James, Pro Bowl safety. And they really, you just looked every single week, and they just were never hitting their potential. This is a team that should have been deep in the playoffs every season. Just year in and year out, they should be competing for AFC titles. And under Staley, they made the playoffs last year, and they lost in a tremendous collapse fashion to the Jaguars.
It was a great game once the collapse started.
Yeah.
I remember that game. It was great.
They had a 27-point lead and lost it, right? There's a lot of coaches that would have been fired after losing such a big lead in a playoff game.
Yeah.
He kept the job this year, and once again, they were so disappointing, even when Justin Herbert was playing, because he got hurt recently. But even when Justin Herbert was playing, they still were just so lackadaisical. And this was it was very clear to see that this was just a guy who was not ready for his opportunity. He wasn't ready to be a head coach.
Scott, a lot of times in a lot of businesses, people are put in positions and they're just not ready. We see it every day.
Every day.
We witness it quite often.
Right.
So It's awful though, because like you said, the talent goes to waste, right? And my thing
Yeah.
about the NFL is like you only have, even if you're a great player, your window is so small
Right.
to be at your peak. And
Agreed.
I hate to see like great talent. It's not necessarily go to waste, but it kind of is, because if you don't have somebody leading you, I was told yesterday that a good leader is when people follow you.
For sure.
Not all people in positions of power get followed. Quite frankly, a lot of them don't.
Right.
So in my guesstimation in this locker room, there's probably players who are followed more than the coach. And that doesn't work, just because you're given a title and you have authority does not mean you're a leader. And that's probably what happened in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, it became very clear just in his as soon as he took over the coaching job that first year that he was way over his head, and I think you just kind of saw that game after game with the Chargers, that he was basically given the keys to a really nice car.
Yep.
Asked
Crashed
not
it
to
time and time again.
asked just to get it to destination B, and he kept hitting the curb. Like seriously, I mean, he just wasn't. He was just woefully not up to the task. So, hopefully for them, they get a coach in place that can just help that team reach its potential, because they got so much talent on that team. But that's kind of what the Chargers do, right? I mean, they have talented rosters. It happened when Phillip Rivers was there all those years, and LaDainian Tomlinson.
Poor guy.
Poor
guy again.
Right, and Antonio
Such
Gates.
good talent. Oh
Right,
my God.
right. They've
You're
wasted so
naming
much
all of
talent.
them.
Right. I mean, has there been an organization that has wasted more talent than the Chargers?
Yours?
I can't. The Browns. Well, the Browns have just sucked over the years, right? I don't think they've wasted talent.
Okay.
They've not had a lot of talent. Now, now they do. But the Chargers, just over the years, all those Hall of Fame players that they've had, they've wasted so much talent. I think more talent than any other team in the NFL. I don't know.
I need
That's
time
me.
to think about that. But
No, just think about that. We'll revisit that topic down the road, right? So,
can't wait.
former UGA great Hines Ward.
Yep.
Was kind of peeking through the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and they are making a push this year for him to get through on that Hall of Fame ballot this year. When you think about what his career was in the NFL,
Yep.
you think Hines is deserving?
I do, but you don't. I know that by the tone in your voice, the way you're talking to me, the fact that we even have this as a topic tells me absolutely not. But I
Right,
do
'cause I
think
picked it, right?
I do think he is deserving, and I do hope to see him in a coaching capacity on another note very soon at UGA or somewhere else. But I know like it gets tossed around every off season. Is Hines going to come coach at UGA? And I think that would be
really?
great. I just don't know if. To be a coach under like a Saban or under a Kirby, you have to take a lot more crap than you.
Right, exactly. Hines Ward's going to be like, I'm going to take this.
I just don't know if Hines Ward would take that from Kirby. I just don't know.
Oh, he's probably like, man, dude, I won Super Bowls and
Correct.
have a borderline Hall of Fame career. I'm not about to get
Yeah,
yelled
you have
at
to
by
leave
Kirby
your
Smart.
ego at the door, and I don't think he's an ego guy, but I think it's very tough to work for coaches like that when you've had success on your own.
Yeah, I just look at his career, and I think we were talking about this earlier. Right after 2000, and as we got into the 2000s of the NFL, the offensive numbers started booming, right? Because you had a lot of rule changes. You could barely, less and less start to hit the quarterback. You couldn't really touch receivers downfield. And offensive numbers really took off.
Yep.
So I think that really has hurt a lot of wide receivers' chance to get into the Hall of Fame, because I think a lot of these voters are looking at it and going, is this guy really this good? Is he really this good, or is he just a product of the changing environment, right? There's so many receivers that have caught 100 balls, and I don't mean to even I guess talk down on these receivers, but guys like Jarvis Landry and Julian Edelman have 100 catch seasons, right? And those are good receivers, but those aren't guys who you would traditionally think of as being 100 catch type receivers, right?
Right?
Yeah, so I think the rule changes have played a lot in a lot of these numbers being inflated in the NFL, and I think it's going to be really hard for a lot of these really good receivers to get in. You see guys like Steve Smith Sr., you see guys like Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, just great receivers of their era have trouble getting into the Hall of Fame because of that reason. And I think the same problem is going to exist for Hines Ward, because honestly, I don't know if he's going to get in this time either, but we'll see.
Of all the guys you just named, though, who would you put in first? Like Megatron? Would you go for him first?
So Megatron's in.
I'm sorry.
So
Of the
those
guys that you've named,
of those
that aren't
guys,
Megatron, I apologize.
yeah. So of those guys, I will put in Steve Smith Sr. first, just because when you think about him in Carolina and all those years he played there, he never really had a great quarterback. I think Jake Delhomme was a good quarterback, and then towards the end of his time there, they had Cam Newton. But I don't think Steve Smith ever played with another truly great quarterback the way Reggie Wayne did, the way some of those other guys did, even Hines Ward with Ben Roethlisberger. So of those group of guys that we just talked about, I think Steve Smith Sr., plus he was just that dude was so tough, man. I mean, that guy was about 5'10", 190 pounds, and would beat people up, man. Like when you see
People
him.
were scared of
Yeah,
facing
they
him.
were scared of him. Like he was a small dude that people were scared of because he was just so feisty, man. How many times did we see him just like throw guys off of him and catch the ball and look mean doing it and beat people up and all that stuff, So that would be my guy for sure. So real quick, UGA news. Emily, what do you got?
All right, so Small Mondin coming back for his senior season. I don't think there's a surprise there. I do think we'll see him play in the NFL, but he still needs a little more work.
Yeah.
The bigger surprise here, and quite frankly, I'm shocked, Jamon Dumas Johnson is in the transfer portal, guys. He injured himself halfway through the season. We haven't seen him play since. We're not going to see him play in a UGA uniform again. I'm sure he'll be playing for a team that UGA will face at some point. I think Alabama would be a great fit for him. Maybe another program like that. But I don't think JDJ is going to go too far out of the SEC because all these coaches have seen him play and play very well. So to me, this is probably an issue, and this is nothing that I have confirmed. This is just me guessing here. When a player that good transfers out, it's more than likely a relationship thing. So maybe he doesn't see eye to eye with Kirby or eye to eye with the defensive coordinator. But we also saw this with the receiver who's at Alabama now. He's slipping my mind.
Oh, that's number 3. The guy, me too. The guy who caught all those balls and he caught a touchdown.
So he won a national championship with Georgia, transferred out, and now he very well could win a national championship with Alabama, depending on what happens in the next 2 games. So, surprise though, absolutely, because JDJ has had a very successful career as a dog, and last season he was a leader on the team, like probably one of the top defensive leaders on the team. So this to me is I guess I can say shocking. I would have never guessed.
But that's the state of college football now, right?
That is the state of college football.
There's a lot of money floating around, Emily. There's a lot of money floating around in college football, and guys want a piece, right?
And Raiola very well could be getting a piece this weekend.
Ooh,
Again,
man.
this is just, me speaking out loud here. Raiola is on an official visit to Nebraska this weekend, even though he's committed to UGA, and before that was committed to Ohio State.
Yeah.
So he's already flipped once. He might flip twice. But these kids nowadays, it's all about money. Which school is going to pay them the most?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about where can I go, where I can grow and move on to the NFL and maybe win a national title. Now
That's old news now.
that's correct. Now it's the wild, wild west. You can get NIL money. You can get money from every which direction.
Right.
And if you're a top prospect, you can ask for money to go on a visit. You can ask for money when you sign. You can ask for money for every year you're playing for a team.
Yeah.
And if another team approaches you about getting more money for them, which isn't necessarily legal, I'm not saying the money is illegal like it used to be, but what I'm saying is like teams shouldn't be approaching other
I got you.
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But anyways, there are rules to that. And then, if a kid, and I was talking about this with you earlier, if a kid feels like he outplayed what he's being paid, he might approach a coach or somebody saying, hey, I outplayed what you paid me. Pay me more. If not, I'm leaving. It's wild. Wild.
Well, that's the state of current college football, and
There
I guess
has to be at some point a
we're gonna-
ceiling, though. I've told you that. There has to be a cap, like in the NFL, and we'll get to that eventually. I don't know when, but there will have to be that because the money will run dry eventually.
Good old college football free agency, right?
Yep.
Real quick, what's on your mind? Anything on your mind? Not much on my mind, except for have a good
It's
weekend.
the holidays.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to
That's
everyone.
all I'm going to be saying next week.
Right, that's been Sports Tonight here on a Friday. Emily, it's always great when we have a chance to
up.
chime in and hook up and do Sports Tonight together.
Special night,
Thank
Scott,
you. We'll
always.
see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Good night.